Hello everyone, hi family, welcome back to our channel. If you are new to this channel, my name is Ruben, and if you're returning, thank you very much for returning and joining us on this financial wellness journey. So today I am going to share a bit of my experience, my story with finances, so that some of you guys can learn. You don't have to go through the same mistakes or do the same mistakes that I have done, right? So please grab your popcorn and enjoy. So today we're going to talk about my life after I paid off my student debt loan. Now, if you've been following for quite some time, I've uploaded a video on how I paid off my $100,000 Namibian dollars, equivalent to South African rands. I always have to say that. How I paid off my 100,000 student loan in 1 year and 6 months on what I would consider an entry level salary. Right now, just on the comments, and maybe to clarify something, right? I got some feedback saying, Woven, how come you're saying you've paid off your student loan, but then you also told us you have a study policy in one or the other videos? You guys, I can't thank my mother enough for being a woke girl back then and having a study policy for me, my siblings. But I think what didn't happen was proper financial education to say this is how much you're gonna need, or if this child is going to University of Namibia to NUST, this is how much you're going to need. So this is how much you need to save away. So those are things you need to consider when having or getting a study policy for a child. I don't think my parents were given that opportunity or were educated enough when they took out the policy. So unfortunately, it was not enough. Now, part of that, I was in the hostel, but I also failed. I also failed my module, so I had to repeat modules. So the money just wasn't enough, and we had to take out a student loan because, yeah. Anyways, before we get into the story and what happened after that, I would like to thank Momentum Investments for partnering with me on this video and really just for being committed to advancing financial literacy in Namibia. Momentum Investments, thank you very much. Just a brief introduction of who they are. They are an investment provider. They provide investments to individuals, businesses, and retirement funds. So they help individuals, businesses, and retirement funds basically invest with confidence. And one of the ways they do this is through their unit trust offering. Now, some of the requirements, if you would like to invest in one of the unit trusts, right? In my previous video, I also shared some information. Some of the requirements, number one, they made it very inclusive for everybody. I mean, there is no reason why in 2023 we shouldn't be able to invest in a unit trust funds. So number one, they made it affordable for most people and inclusive. The minimum requirement to save in a Momentum unit trust fund is 200 Namibian dollars. So you can save that per month. But if you then want to, maybe you don't want to save per month, you can invest a minimum of 10,000 Namibian dollars, and then you can invest or save money in there, add money to your unit trust as and when you would like. Or you have both options where you have a minimum monthly contribution of $200, and then you can also start with a big amount. That is one of the benefits. The second one is unit trusts in Namibia, right, offer you this comfort and safety because they are heavily regulated. NAMFISA is our regulator, local regulator in Namibia. So in terms of safety, I think an individual or business can have a peace of mind because NAMFISA requires unit trust funds, all unit trust funds in Namibia, to be registered, number one, with the regulator. Number two, to have quarterly reporting. So there's constant monitoring of unit trusts in Namibia. So they hardly ever fall privy to fraud and embezzlement. So yeah, you can be comfortable and sleep at night given that you have a watchdog, you have a regulator that's regulating this unit trust funds. So there's confidence and there's safety, a peace of mind essentially. Number three, another reason why you would want to invest in a Momentum unit trust is because of ease of access to your funds, right? So unlike a 30-day savings account, you have better and easier access to your funds when you invest in a unit trust, because basically from the comfort of your home you can send an instruction, disinvestment or withdrawal instruction, to say, guys, can I have some of my money, without even providing unnecessary reasons as to why you need your own money. So in 2 to 3 days you would essentially have your money. So those are just some of the advantages. You may contact Momentum. I'll leave your contact details in the description box below. Guys, I need to remind you, this is not financial advice, and at the end of the day, the final decision lies with you as to what you do with your money. You can also contact a registered financial advisor registered with NAMFISA that can assist you. Okay, now back to what happened after I paid off my student loan, right? Guys, I was young, responsible. I mean, I would consider myself responsible, but also very reckless for having paid off that specific amount of money in such a short period. I would consider it a short period. So what did I do? When I finished paying off my loan, I still stayed with my parents. I stayed at mom's nest. I didn't move out, and I was not required to pay rent. Thank you very much, mom. So I didn't really know what my money was going to. After that, I had a goal, to pay off this big amount. And then after that, I was like, what do I do with all this money? But somehow, somewhere, I found a way and I found a need. But then what happened after that, obviously my bank statement started looking better. I no longer had debt on it. And I thought, because I'm in the financial sector, right, I understand a bit. I then thought, now I am going to look for a credit card. For one or other reason, right? I always thought a credit card is like an achievement. If a bank can trust you with credit, I just thought you are such an adult. You are, you've made it. And for some reason, I just felt like you belong. If you have a credit card, you're recognized. I don't know why I felt like that. The psychology of money, I guess, growing up. So I thought, you are an it. You have certain status. If the bank can give you a credit card, it just comes with a certain, So I thought, let me finally go and try and see if the bank will recognize me as this person. I don't know why I thought that way, because that is not the case. I went to the bank, and guess what, guys? I think the bank said, girl, you qualify for a certain amount of money. I was like, whoa, me? For some reason, I knew I qualified, but also not for that amount of money. And I didn't think it was just that easy to get a credit card. Or at least in my case, it was. I think I came back after, did they give me the same day? Well, they notified me 2 to 3 days later that your credit card is now ready with the amount. I said, I will take it. Guys, when I went to the bank, it was just to see whether I qualify, not to take a credit card. So I said, then I will take it. The bank gave it to me. Guess what happened next? Financial trouble is coming. I took that credit card. I did not have a plan as to what I'm going to use that money for. I just knew I now have credit. I was young, I was naive, I was reckless. So much for someone that just finished paying off debt and now got this unnecessary debt that they're not going to use for anything. If you ask me today what I use that money on, I'll be lying to you. I chewed that money on credit. And, not knowing, or I knew, but the money does not belong to me. It belongs to the bank because I did not deposit anything, so it's credit. But I used that money. I think I don't even know what I bought. To this day, I don't know what I bought. So after I finished that money on a credit card, right, they will tell you this is the minimum you have to pay up because it's credit extended to you. You have to pay it up because it doesn't belong to you. You need to pay them the bank's money back. Something just short-circuited in my mind. And I was like, there's no way I can pay for this. I can't even account for it. I can't say, guys, maybe I bought shoes and I was maybe always eating out. I didn't even travel. Was I traveling that time? I don't know what I did with that money, but I know I chewed that money. So finished, and I was like, there's no way I am paying this money back. Greatest mistake of my life ever, guys. If you are extended credit facilities by the bank, please do what you need to do to honor your obligation. please. Because I think the bank looked at me and they saw, okay, this girlie, disciplined, she's paid off a loan shorter than the period anticipated or expected. So she's probably a good client, you know, someone that can honor her obligations on time. Wrong. Bank was wrong. I was young and reckless. So I then refused. The bank sent out, monthly, they tell you this is how much you need to pay. This girl said, me, I'm not paying for anything because I cannot see anything that I use this money on. The bank persisted, and after some time, I then got handed over to debt collectors. I Guys, I think it still didn't sink in because at that point, I wasn't looking at purchasing something else, right? I was just like, me, I have my salary, I'm going to stay in my mother's house. So I got handed over to debt collectors and they start calling. It's like, yeah, ma'am, I know I owe money. Please put an arrangement in place. How are you going to pay this? So I tell the debt collector some story. Yeah, I'm going to pay, and then we put an arrangement in place. I think I paid 1 month and I was like, I still don't understand. I'm not going to pay this thing. And then the debt collectors, I don't know why the bank was being very lenient with me. They called me again, I think after 2-3 months. The bank also sent me very threatening SMSs that they didn't move me much. But then they called back again and I was like, I'm not in a position to pay. I mean, the bank can see there's a salary that comes into my account. What do I mean I'm not in a position to pay? When that salary was basically just covering my life. I was living my best life, guys. Eventually, I think they gave up, and one day, my God never leaves me nor forsakes me. One day I wake up, right? And I'm like, Ndapewa, Woven, what is this that you're doing? You are in the financial industry. At some point, in our financial industry, if you're in a senior position, they do a fit and proper. NAMFISA, our industry is heavily regulated. NAMFISA does a fit and proper on you before you can actually become a senior or an accounting person a responsible person within an organization. And I was like, this is where you're building your career towards. Eventually you want to buy a car, eventually you want to buy a house. This is going to affect your credit record. Now guys, I swear, I think at some point the bank stopped contacting me. They were this close, if they had not already handed me over to ITC. But one day I woke up and I'm like, I'm going to be a responsible child. I get all this money. By then I had now started saving and being more responsible. I was like, let me honor my obligations. I actually emailed my bank. I said, hi, how much is outstanding on this credit card? Knowing very well I have never paid a damn thing on that credit card, because even what I paid, I would then use up. I said how much is outstanding, and then I put an arrangement in place, So I started paying on a monthly basis. But guys, I don't understand how I didn't end up on ITC after the debt collectors called me so many times. And by then I knew even my credit record was tainted. I don't know, my lighting has changed because the sun is going down. Please excuse that. So what then happened is, I think 6 months in, I was just paying the minimum amount. And then one day I woke up, I'm like, okay, enough with credit. Because, with credit, the longer you keep it, the more expensive it is. Number 2, credit card is unsecured lending. It's unsecured debt, meaning it's much more expensive. So this is debt that you actually want to keep or get rid of as fast as possible. Eventually, I came to my senses. And I one day emailed my banker. I was like, how much is outstanding on this thing? I want to settle it. Do I still have those emails? I'll try to find them and maybe just link them here for transparency as well. So they get back to me and I'm like, I'm paying this thing off. I wired that amount, and guys, the amount of relief, like I could finally breathe, right? I paid it off. And then I actually then thought, I want a vehicle, guys. When I went to the bank, I am almost certain, had I not actually defaulted on that credit card, right, my interest that I got from the bank when I purchased my vehicle would have probably been much better. I got Prime Plus. To this day, my bank, at least they actually extended vehicle financing to me even after I proven that I wasn't someone that honored their obligations in the past. But what I did is I let a certain amount of period pass before I could go to the bank, because then I knew that I would have improved my credit score, my credit record, and essentially get qualified for a better amount and a better rate. I think now that I'm reflecting, looking back, had I not defaulted, I would have probably been able to negotiate for at least maybe prime or prime less, you know. But now, you know, I got prime plus 2. Was it prime plus? Yeah, but I just know that I got a very high interest rate. Anyways, I wanted my car, and yeah, I got that. So why am I making this video? To caution, even if you're older, the younger generation, right? Commercial break. Guys, I need to keep taking this because I'm experiencing a dry throat and I sound weird. It's just grapefruit. It helps. I don't know how, but it does. You guys, I have this bad habit, but it's like people pleasure. You know, problem, eh? I can't, if I'm having a fizzy drink, right? I have to drink until it starts paining here. That sounds so wrong. Until it starts burning here, then only I stop. But it feels so good. It's painful, but it feels good. Please let me know if you do that, so that we can form a support group together. Right? I had to stop because of the noise that was coming from outside. But yeah, the essence of this video really to learn from my mistakes, guys, so that you don't commit the same mistakes. Credit card is not entirely bad, but you need to know why you are taking credit, right? Not for shoes, not for it really needs to be a valid reason, and I mean, a valid reason is different from one person to another. And for you need to be able to pay off whatever you use in that specific rolling period before the next period. So if you use 2,000, try to pay it off in that same month before, you know, the next month, so that you don't accumulate debt, so that you don't default, all these things. So really, this is a video to the younger generation. You guys, a credit card, anyone can get it. It doesn't give you a certain status, ne? Like, please learn from me. You haven't arrived just because you can now get a credit card. Even the older generation, I think if you already have credit, right? If you have already a credit card, credit cards are some of the most expensive debt because it's unsecured lending, like I said. So try to pay it off as fast as possible. More often than not, your credit card interest rate is higher than your motor vehicle that's secured. There's a vehicle, then your bond. So when you're tackling debt, and we'll touch on this or have specific videos just dedicated to debt and how you tackle debt, try to pay off your most expensive debt first. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this video and you've learned something new from me, Woven. I will see you next time.